Hi everybody, my name is Stephanie Thiessen and I'm your Gel Moment independent distributor. Today I'm going to be showing you how to create this funky ombre manicure as well as a couple other ombre combinations using lighter colors and a glitter polish, all with a makeup sponge. But before we get started, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button below so you are notified right away by email when I launch a brand new tutorial video just like this one. Now let's get started. So we're going to get started with one coat of Lady in a Dress on our nail or nail stick, and then we're going to get our makeup sponge ready. So this is just a plain cosmetic makeup sponge wedge, and you want to make sure that you use tape to remove any loose foam or fuzz or dust that's on the makeup sponge before you get started. When you're creating an ombre, you want to start with the lightest color on the nail, on the whole nail. So I have done a coat of Lady in a Dress and then cured it. And now we're going to apply a second coat over the entire nail so that we can begin the ombre. Once we have a second thin coat of Lady in a Dress applied, we're going to get our color ready to ombre. So I'm using her Majesty and I'm going to apply it to the makeup sponge. You're going to use a lot of polish on the makeup sponge, and you're going to see that the reason you're using a lot of polish on the sponge is because the sponge is going to absorb the polish. So when you begin to apply the polish on the nail, you're going to see that it's basically going to disappear. So you're going to have to apply a little bit more polish to be able to get a proper fade. As you dab the sponge around the nail, it's going to again absorb more of the polish. So you're going to see that it's going to get lighter and lighter. For this first coat of our fade, we want it to be a nice light fade, as this is going to be the base and it's going to allow you to have a nice even fade as we go up through the layers. After fully curing our first layer of our ombre manicure, we're going to apply another coat of Lady in a Dress, but you're going to notice that I'm only going to bring this down about halfway down the nail or just past the area where we had faded the two polishes together. This middle area is going to be where the fade is going to happen, where we're going to have the two colors mixing together and having a very subtle fade between the two. So I'm just gently dabbing the polish and bringing it up to that point where I have the Lady in the Dress polish, and then you're going to have this nice subtle fade. So again, we're going to fully cure that layer and move on to the next one. With an ombre manicure, you're going to have probably 4 or 5 layers depending on how vibrant you want your main colors to be. With using a makeup sponge, it is going to absorb a lot of the polish. So as you start out with quite a bit on the nail, as you dab it around the nail and you work in that ombre, it's going to absorb more of that polish and it's going to create a nice thin coat on the nail. So even though you have quite a bit of polish on the sponge, it's going to eventually thin itself out. To create a seamless blending between your colors, you need to gently dab the sponge along that center line where you've brought the polishes together, and that's going to create a seamless fade between your polishes. If you notice that you've worked your darker color up a little bit too far into your lighter color, you can, on the next coat, bring your lighter color down a little bit further over that ombre. It'll soften up those colors underneath and create a nice seamless fade. You can also flip the sponge over so that you have a clean side and work that polish from the top down instead of going from the bottom up. That will help bring that lighter color down into the darker color and create a nice fade. Because we're using a sponge, you may notice some bubbles forming. You don't need to worry about the smaller ones, but any of the larger ones you want to just dab over with the sponge to pop before curing. Then when you're happy with how your ombre looks, finish off with a sealing coat of Clearly Frisky. Then after fully curing your coat of Clearly Frisky, your funky ombre nail is done. The possibilities are truly endless with an ombre manicure. You can use colors that go together, colors that normally don't go together, colors that are totally opposite. You can use glitter polishes. The possibilities are really endless. You can create so many amazing manicures using the ombre technique. Ultimately, the trick with doing an ombre manicure is to achieve that seamless fade, and using the makeup sponge is a really easy way to achieve that. When you're using the makeup sponge for the ombre, just remember that it is going to absorb a lot of the polish. So apply quite a bit of the polish to the sponge before you get started. And if you need to, you can always apply more to the sponge when you're in the middle of doing your ombre if you need to apply more. Thin coats and multiple layers of your ombre is what's going to give you that seamless finish in your blended polishes. When you're using a glitter polish to do an ombre, you may not necessarily need to do quite as many coats. You'll be able to easily pull those pieces of the glitter up into the other polish to create a really nice subtle fade with those glitter pieces. Always remember that we need to be applying thin coats of polish to the nail to make sure that it is curing fully. When you are using the makeup sponge, you are applying quite a bit of polish to the sponge before applying it to the nail, and the sponge usually does absorb quite a bit of that polish. But as you're getting closer to the end of your design, you may notice that it's not absorbing it as quickly. So just make sure that you aren't applying too thick of a coat of polish to the nail to make sure that the polish is going to cure fully when you cure it. I hope you enjoyed learning how easy it is to create a simple ombre manicure using a makeup sponge, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss out on new tutorial videos and fun manicure ideas. I'll be back soon with more great tips and tricks for using your Gel Moment products. Thanks so much for watching.